January 2023 is the month in which the story takes place. At the time, I was a 23-year-old woman. The conclusion of winter break meant I had to make the 2-hour drive back to college. In addition, I was traveling from the suburbs of Chicago to a more rural location. When I set off on my journey, the sun was beginning to set. The first hour of my trip was quiet, but then I got a notification in my vehicle. The statement said the engine was overheating. My knowledge of car jargon is completely new to me. Even though I was aware that this wasn't good, I drove a certain distance to find a way out. I ended up at a well-lit and quite busy gas station. For about 30 minutes, I waited in anticipation for my car to be safe and running smoothly. I tried to restart my car, but it didn't work. It was clear that my engine had some smoke coming out, and I knew this wasn't good. Despite not knowing what to do, I got in touch with my father. According to him, he should have called a tow truck. Through it all, he was determined to come back. At the time, I was only 45 minutes away from my destination, which seemed reckless. However, I tried to start the car again, and suddenly it rolled over, which led me back to the road. I arrived a couple of miles down the road. In the blink of an eye, the warning became apparent again, and my body felt like it was sinking. I parked my car at the adjacent gas station that serves 24 hours. Despite its location, this gas station was haunted by ghostly noises. Bumblefolkula was the place where it was discovered to provide a visual representation of the scene, no doubt. The only thing that existed were the cornfields. The dark abyss of these cornfields made them even more intimidating. There were no lights to illuminate the surrounding area, including the creek lights or the house lights. The gas station on the street route was the only source of lighting. I was extremely scared that something might be working in the dark, which would have made me completely unprepared for its possible consequences. In any case, I brought some snacks from the gas station with me in the car and called AAA to have them taken away. In the meantime, I waited in my car and was engrossed in a virtual vault of what had happened to me. I included a note with every car heading to the gas station. Also, I watched all the people coming in and out of the gas station. I make it clear that I'm paying attention. In any case, I saw this silver sedan parked right behind me. One of the neon green industrial safety vests was worn by a tall man, and I noticed him. He walked into the gas station and out. Subsequently, he walked away. After about 20 minutes, I saw someone approaching my window. A man wears an industrial safety vest in neon green. The tow truck safety vest had made my brain think it was the driver. I rolled down the window. As he did so, he had pointed out that he had observed the same man in the past. He acknowledges her tenderness and says, "I just saw you today," as my window opened. I didn't answer and just rolled up the window. I had a feeling that something was wrong. What is the reason for this man to leave the gas station and come back after 20 minutes? He seemed to come back just to get closer. I felt a sense of certainty in my mind that there was definitely something on the table. I got in touch with my father. He suggested that I contact the emergency line to alert the police. At first, I was hesitant because I didn't want to waste their time. However, he encouraged me to do so. I complied. They came and waited for my equivalency. While it may not be the most chilling story, at least it was questionable and disturbing. Being a petite woman who was alone in the dark fields late at night makes it impossible to tell if she had more sinister intentions. I am grateful for my trust in my instincts and my caution. To say, ladies, be aware of your surroundings. It's crucial to pay attention to your surroundings and all the time. It is a fact that there are men with evil intentions who are frighteningly frightening. It's important for men to think about how they approach women. This probably isn't advisable if you're alone at the time or in a parking lot. The home office is considered creepy, and you could end up being the protagonist of someone else's scary story. Think, I am a girl. Before his 20th birthday, he was residing in a quirky neighborhood in January 2022. My country of residence is quite secure. Despite that, there was a homeless shelter that existed nearby. The most likely result is that some homeless people would ask for cigarettes or use racial epithets when talking to me. It's a stroke of luck that I moved from there. I made the decision to go to the gym one night. After completing the work for my college sophomore exam, I felt like venturing out of here a bit. After that, I packed my gym bags and headed out the door. For context, I resided 15 minutes from the gym. I would have to walk down my street, and then there were three alternatives. I could walk past the homeless shelter on the road, take a wild path through the trees, or choose if I wanted to go to the train station. All of these items would get me to the gym in almost the same amount of time. In any case, when I leave my residence, a man stumbled in front of me. He sat on a bench near the bus stop. Without delay, I felt uncomfortable around him and opted to walk around, giving him room to maneuver in case something went wrong. He was likely intoxicated and had to take a break, but he still wanted to be safe. Sure enough, as I walked around it, he stands up and starts walking behind me after I walked past him. I thought, oh no, it's possible that this guy will follow me now. I opted to increase my speed and occasionally look to the left to see it without suspecting my connection. I'm nearing the end of the street where I have to make a decision about which way to go, and I hear him do. Turning around, I find him holding a sharp knife. When I start moving, I decide to cross the street and head towards the train station. The place was well lit, and I recognized that Wayne Hill planned to venture the other ways. When I crossed the street, I started running. However, he also starts running. Cars coming down the road I was on were stopped by me at a red light, which is thank goodness. I crossed the street once more to reach the brightest section, and as soon as I turned around, the man stopped running. Now he was giving me the most wicked, snoring expression. He landed his foot on the ground and then sat motionless on it, feeling as if he had just lost a game. The gym was my destination for the rest of the trip, and I finally got in touch with my mom. After going to the gym, I just took a taxi and paid for the ride. As a girl, it's important to go with your gut and avoid going alone to places you don't need to go, regardless of your location. The expense is unjustifiable, and I was foolish to leave in the first place. Even though I live in a safer area, I'm more picky about outings now. During the winter of 2015, I started dating a man who would be staying in Austin. She was only in a serious relationship, and I was completely unaware of her true nature, even though she kept saying she was crazy. Usually, it is the individual who refers to their ex-partner as crazy. Despite my decision to translate, I still found fulfillment in my new partner, because my only previous relationship is in a serious state, and my overall enjoyment of company. A girl sent me a friend request on Facebook when I was in the middle of our relationship. She goes by Ashley. I didn't take it seriously since she lived in the same city as me and had a lot of money, so I brought her back. Over the next few days, he would send her several messages revealing that she was Austin's ex and that he had been physically and mentally abusive to her. He provided me with screenshots of a local court case that was still under review due to abuse. At this juncture, I began to feel uncomfortable in my relationship. When speaking to Austin about my concerns, he revealed that Ashley had previously made the same mistake with her ex-partner. His ex had also contacted him to warn him in the same way. I was willing to witness the central case she had mentioned, even if I couldn't trust him. The stress of this information led me to part ways with Austin the day before the main case. Despite my strong sense of justice, I felt guilty because I believed I was supporting someone who might have been a potential abuser or arch-helper, and therefore there was no place for mistreatment. In order to feel more comfortable with the current situation of my relationship, I went to court and observed the proceedings. Ashley was not present in court at all. Despite attending 3 court dates, he never made it. The case was eventually dismissed. We reconciled a few days later, and the relationship resumed after I thought he was being truthful. Sadly, I had the right perspective. An Instagram notification from her ex arrived in my inbox late at night, about a month or 2 later. I used the nothing button at the time and redirected to the page behind me to follow them. My heart broke when I found out that my boyfriend's ex had changed her hair color to blonde and started dressing quite similar to me. His style was completely different from his previous appearance. Upon reading my explanation, Austin reiterated that Ashley's crazy behavior was the reason for their separation. Confident, he was relieved that he had finally been given the benefit of the doubt. He constantly used the internet to fake and abuse me, using psychological tactics to persuade me to show any answer. Over the next few months, I blocked numerous fake accounts that sent me random messages with negative comments about my body, intelligence, or facial features. Eventually, to gain some control, I created a fake Instagram profile to monitor Ashley and maintain the same poses, expressions, and clothes as I did, even though she kept all of my accounts private. It implies that she had some access to my content, even though many people claimed that I was overanalyzing it initially. I posted just a few days before Ashley did, but later the photos she had shared with me were a reflection of my own. When comparing some of the photos, they appeared to be almost identical. He even got the piercings I did. The piercing I received after that was also acquired by her. Also, Ashley was the lucky buyer and bought a dog of the same breed as my friend's because she believed it belonged to me. He took the dog after finding out it was a mine tracking its owner in my photos. Until now, his online harassment was mostly driven by jealousy towards my relationship with Austin. His tendency to mess with me would eventually exhaust me and lead me to another obsession. Despite the toll on my mental health, I tried to remain numb, things to do for a couple of months. Austin was on the road until the next day when he finally returned. Around 9 a.m., I heard someone enter my apartment and place their keys on the table. My tiredness woke me up. I came to the conclusion that it was probably my boyfriend's fault and that he would be able to understand my sleeping behavior. After that, I heard the person walking down the hall and then entering the bedroom. Then I heard them turn on the light. I was exhausted, so I hurriedly rolled up the blanket to protect my face. Afterwards, I said, "You're early." They responded with a long, silent response before entering my bathroom and closing the door. I was woken up by someone coming out of the apartment later. This completely surprised me as my friend's door was locked. I noticed that every room in my house had been removed. I had open drawers on my dresser. My dish soap was not present. Jewelry was poking around. They took pieces, including an emerald ring that my mother had given me as a birthday present 10 years ago. The absence of valuables in the apartment made me sure Ashley was the culprit. My suspicions were verified when I went on my Instagram and she was wearing my ring. It's worth noting that I would have used it on the same finger. Even after the incident, she was still wearing my clothes. I reported it to the police. The police informed her that she had received these items from a friend and that she was not allowed to continue with anything else until they spoke to her. I was left with no response from the police. The stalking seemed to be over for a while. My boyfriend was contacted by his former employer, who now works as a manager, just one night ago. She had revealed to them that her boyfriend was abusive after he was hired. I realized that she had applied her intentionally in this particular case. After a period of refining his work, he was fired for allegedly failing to deposit money from his grocery store. I can't imagine how I would have done it. I ended my relationship with my boyfriend after being harassed and cornered for 4 years. Unfortunately, it didn't stop completely there. Friends of mine online sent me messages expressing happiness at meeting me and saying they hardly knew of my existence. During our conversations, I discovered that Ashley wasn't correcting others for using my name and talking about herself as if she were me. Even talking about Austin as if they were in a romantic relationship. In the end, I made the decision to legally change my name to break this vicious cycle of anxiety and frustration. Shortly afterwards, he publicly expressed his desire to adopt a new name very similar to mine. Let me know if you can add a letter to my 3-letter name and then change it back to it. That's what it is now. Despite dating Heaven for 7 years, I still feel the weight of the crazy ex's words. Although I'm sure he's gone over to another enemy, he adopted my hobby name, my approachable personality, and the sterling silver ring my mother gave me, which had no value except to me. I wasn't taught to be authentic because no one can imitate me. He may have tried to follow in my footsteps, but he will never live like me. Despite the agony, I still feel like saying hello to Ashley, who is a bit cheeky. I wish I would never see you again for the rest of my life. The week before Thanksgiving can be a time of hectic activity for most people. I find it difficult to focus on my safety and surroundings as I reflect on the stress and loss associated with buying items and accomplishing things. I adhere to my strict policy of not visiting an ATM at a gas station or bank during the day. My sister and I will always be companions. We have a grocery store and other stores that are conveniently located near our home. I am a woman who is 5'5", while my sister is only 4'11". Our security measures are well planned and we keep a close eye on our parking areas. Our app is designed to keep track of crime in our neighborhood. We observe things that are not regularly followed, and it is not a new practice. We were tasked with helping our elderly neighbor. The recent alteration in time led to an unexpected shopping experience at night. As we park by the door, we keep our guard up as we remind each other. Due to a sudden change in weather conditions that made it cold and half rainy, we noticed that few people had left. Our group hurried into the spacious store, with my sister buying our items and my designated basket for our neighbor. We both decided to start in the first hallway and skip all the hallways because she required so much. We were familiar with the store and quickly removed many items from their list as we moved on. After my sister picked up the basket, I noticed a tall black man with long hair and dreadlocks who had passed us behind. Then we went around the second hallway. Now he turns his gaze to me. My eyes were tight inside me. I didn't have a basket and just wanted to grab a few items, so I assumed I was looking for something. His gaze remained fixed on mine, and I recognized his presence before I went out to shop. He disappeared around another corner, and I continued to fill the basket. My sister didn't notice my movements, as she hadn't seen him until a few seconds later. When I turned around, he called me back and asked me where I was going. The war was visible around the next corner. Super Kroger's, which includes a deli, bakery, produce, and pharmacy, is now quite extensive. He didn't miss a beat in a hallway. The reason I'm aware of this is that we weren't. During the last one, I had gone picking pickles and lettuce from my neighbor's garden and noticed him moving to the front of the store. Suddenly, I realized that there were 2 other men with him who had separated from him in this way. We're all together, and we're back together. My guess is that I zeroed in on the last item in our inventory, and I predict that it would finish overhauling itself. Because of the difficulty of leaving with a full basket, I wanted the only older woman to visit us. We both had a surplus. As we made our way towards the exit, we did careful scans, and it was obvious that all 3 of them had disappeared. I was afraid that I would be able to witness them in the open air. It was a stroke of luck that we didn't. We hurriedly moved to the place I was assigned, passing between his belongings in the trunk and ours in the back seat, watching and hoping that everything was okay. They locked us up and we ran out, knowing we managed to escape being honest all the time, essentially in addition to his 2 companions. Our bags were frequently used cross-body, and during the winter it was challenging to access them without a code. We both had a hidden carry and knew exactly where we parked, so it was easy to get to our car. That was a source of great joy for me. I will not allow the time change to happen again. What actions should people take? Every night. It's hard to find light when you go home and walk to a store because of the darkness that descends at 5 p.m. He believed that the reason he bagged racks so often was to intimidate us or make someone aware of his presence. We kept our composure and looked straight at him every time we passed each other. It's important to be cautious and always make eye contact when someone is nearby so they can pick up on you by your appearance. The police mascot, the crime dog, once said he was prepared and not afraid. Our plan of action and concealed carry, along with our confidence-building tactics,